Good evening, Mr. Representative from Orion Fabrics. This is Candace Auden from Auden Boutique Company.
Good evening, Mrs. Auden. You must be Mr. Auden's wife that came to visit us earlier today.
That's correct. I apologize for the sudden visit. I know it was highly unusual, but I thought it was best if we had a way to contact each other than emails.
No problem, Mrs. Auden. Not sure if this was the best alternative, but it was all I could think of. Let's make the best use of it. That being said, I didn't expect you to message me so late. Is there something urgent to discuss?
Well, yes. Do you have a few minutes? I'll try not to make it too long.
Of course, the CEO of Auden Boutique has been very kind to us for so many years. We'd love to do anything to help your husband's company.
Thank you.
Excuse me for being impatient, but does it have something to do with what you mentioned earlier? Something about a private matter? You didn't seem too keen on the idea of talking about it publicly.
Yes, it is. You see, it's something that might come across as a shock for you and your company. So I thought it was best if we didn't talk about it out in the open. You never know who might be listening. We don't want people going into a frenzy over something so trivial.
I don't see the picture. Care to elaborate? What could be so shocking for us?
I'll be blunt about it. Auden Boutique Company no longer wishes to work with Orion Fabrics. We would like to end our partnership by the end of this month. So please, don't bother manufacturing any more products for us. We won't be accepting them. I'm sorry for the bad news, but it's been great to have you and your company as our business partner. We wish you well.
I'm sorry, am I reading this right? Mr. Auden wishes to cut our business deal? But why? I thought we were in a great relationship. We've been talking about how we wanted to expand our operations just a few weeks ago. Everything is so sudden. Could you explain to me what happened?
There's nothing to explain. Our company won't be working with you anymore. It's decided. I'm very sorry for the shocking reveal.
Please, you have to at least give me a reason.
Very well. You see, it always bothered me how expensive the costs are when we work with manufacturing firms within the country. It's a known fact that when one wants to keep the costs low, it's better to outsource operations to overseas factories and manufacturing plants. It's much more profitable. Sooner or later, we had to make a decision. Would this explain it? This is why we won't be working with you anymore. It's not like we're laying off our employees. We're just decided not to renew your contract. Pretty good timing, if I do say so myself. We usually renew your contract once every few years, so it was practically now or never.
I see. I understand it's much more cheaper to have production work done overseas, but don't you think it's a bit out of left field? I apologize for sounding salty, but I thought one of your company's core values was having your products made with care for its customers, workers, and the environment.
I don't see how that's relevant, but it sure is. Why?
Well, if you're ending our contract because you're trying to cut costs, you might want to reevaluate your core values. I'm not sure if your actions are something one could call caring for those involved in production. I'm not entirely sure of your new partner's business ethics, but usually when I think of overseas factories, I think of harsh working conditions. Maybe they really care about their workers, I don't know. Either way, it feels hypocritical.
See what you want. We still won't be renewing your contract.
I understand, but I'd like to ask for a compromise. You've only given us a few weeks until the end of our deal. Will it be too difficult for me to ask you if you could at least give us a few more months? Auden Boutique is one of our most valuable business partners. Such a sudden change will definitely impact the company in an undesirable way. Worst case scenario, we might have to fire some of our employees. They're all hardworking, good people. They don't deserve this.
I see where you're coming from, but I can't say we can do anything about it. The recession has been affecting us all, Mr. Representative. We have to protect ourselves by ourselves. I hope you understand. It's not easy for us either.
I do understand, but I hope you know that I'm just trying to protect my workers as well. We won't be able to deal with such a huge financial hit on such short notice. How about you give us at least 3 or even 2 extra months?
Like I said, there's nothing I can do about it. Everything has already been decided. If I were you, I would quit pondering about our relationship and consider building a new one somewhere else.
I suppose it's wrong of me to bother you about this. I would like to consult Mr. Auden about this matter in private. Do you know if and when he has time to spare?
I'm sorry, but my husband's on a long-term business trip. We're thinking of expanding our company to sell its products in other countries as well. He left the country to attend a meeting with some overseas executives. He's also intending on looking for a new partnership to export our goods, as well as a binding contract with a new and cheaper fabric firm. Basically, he's very busy and he won't have time until at least 2 more months. I suggest you give up and accept the facts.
Are you sure? I'm sure Mr. Auden would be willing to make an exception for us. Our fathers used to be close business partners back when they used to be the CEO. In fact, that's exactly the reason why we even had our deal to begin with. We inherited our father's companies along with our partnership. We could make history with how long our partnership has been. I've practically lost count, but it's been several decades. Although I'm sure you don't need my reminder. You must be well aware of it, with you being the CEO's wife and all.
Unbelievable. Do you realize how pathetic you're being?
I'll be as pathetic as I need to be. I can't have my employees lose their paychecks.
Do you actually think it matters how long we've had a business deal?
Then how about this? I remember how Mr. Auden complimented our work before. He respected how thorough and meticulous we were with our productions. Our workers are highly skilled. We made sure to train them very well over a long period of time. Give them some fabric and some strings and they can show you wonders. If our current operations aren't enough for you, then how about we show you more of what we can offer? I'm sure you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Ugh, enough already. You're being such a pain. I was going to be nice about it, but I guess some guys just can't read the memo.
Excuse me?
I don't care how skilled your workers might be. You can show me as many tricks as you want, but at the end of the day, that's not going to help us make money. What does make us money is by having cheap operations done by unskilled workers in poorer countries. If we have them make the same products that you made for a much lower price, that all leads to easy profit. And if we make a profit, that'll be proof of how competent I am. It'll be a way to show who's fit to become the next CEO of the company. Do you hear?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understood correctly. Since when has profit become the number one priority for Mr. Auden? And what's this about the next CEO?
Since you've been boasting about how long your history is with Auden Boutique Company, surely you must know that I'm Mr. Auden's second wife.
Well, yes, I heard that his first wife passed away several years ago from cancer. To be honest, it surprised me at first to see that Mr. Auden married someone much younger than him.
Right. Well, we both know my husband's getting old. There isn't much future left for a middle-aged dude in his late 50s. Give it 5 to 10 more years and he'll definitely retire. That's where I come in. I know my husband. He's planning on passing his position to one of his employees once he quits. But I have a better idea. If I can show proof of how capable I am as a business leader, I can definitely secure my future as the next CEO. And what's the fastest, easiest way to prove one's competence in a company? Profit. And to make a profit, all I have to do is cut down on costs.
So let me get this straight. You're cutting us off just so you can show off that you make a profit? Just so that you can maybe get yourself a position as the next CEO of Auden Boutique?
Basically, yep. To be honest, I'm sure most customers don't really look into how we actually treat our workers. As long as they get what they want, no one pays attention to the minor details. Why do you think so many large companies have underpaid workers? Why do you think these companies still continue to thrive, even when their mistreatment of employees is common knowledge? Honesty and loyalty won't get you anywhere, my humble friend. I thought you'd know this since you've been in the industry much longer than I have.
I don't know what to say to you. I am shocked.
Well, I'm shocked that someone could be so gullible. You must be a joke. Anyway, we're not going to renew your contract. Is that clear? I don't care what happens to you or your poor company. For all I care, you guys can all go bankrupt and start living on the streets. It won't bother me. You might consider me cruel, but that's how the world works. Those who exploit others are the ones who win in the end, not the other way round.
Excuse me, do you really mean what you just said? Do you understand how bigoted you're being?
As I said before, you can say what you want. It won't change anything. Frankly speaking, I don't think anyone would care even if some minor, nameless company like yours went bankrupt. At the very least, I definitely don't. I'm too busy climbing up my ladder to a prosperous career and future.
I see. You were that kind of person.
Anyway, our company doesn't need the likes of you anymore. Please, stop being such a sore loser. It's just mildly irritating at best.
I understand. I won't try to change your mind anymore. I can tell it won't be worth the time and effort. I'm sorry that things had to end this way, but I would appreciate it if you could tell Mr. Auden that it was nice being business buddies while it lasted.
I will definitely not. He has much more important matters to attend to. Goodbye, Orion Fabrics. I hope we never have to speak again.
Hi, boss. It's me, Nicole. It's been a few years. I hope you haven't forgotten about me.
Hey, I didn't expect to hear from you again, Nicole. But you know that you don't have to call me boss anymore. You know that. You're already an independent business owner.
Maybe, but it feels weird to call you by something else. You taught me so many things back when I was working part-time at your company. You'll always be my one and only boss, so I'd like to continue calling you that. If that's okay with you, of course.
I guess I'll accept your flattery. How's your company? Are things going smoothly for you?
Everything's great. I didn't realize this until after a while, but there's so much more to being a business owner than finance and time management. You have to be a decent leader, too. It's all about communication and building trust. It's not easy, but I did learn from the best. Thanks to you, things are running pretty smoothly.
I'm glad you think so. I read an article about an interview that you had with an online news website a few months ago. I have to say, I was really impressed by it. I didn't think e-commerce was such a big deal, but boy, was I wrong. I'm proud of you, Nicole. I'm glad I was able to have you as one of my former employees.
Aw, thanks, boss. But enough about me. I heard you were in a pretty bad situation right now. Is everything all right? Is it true that Autumn Boutique Company decided not to continue your business deal with them anymore?
I'm surprised, you know.
Well, I have connections, and you're not the only one who suffered the same fate. A few of our business partners claim to have had a similar experience with them.
Really?
Yep. I get wanting to gain more profit, but this is absurd. I mean, do they understand how much of their products rely on Orion fabrics?
I don't know, but either way, it didn't seem like I could do much to change their mind. Mrs. Auden was pretty clear that they had new priorities. Maybe their company just isn't the same anymore. I'm not sure about how Mr. Auden feels about it, though. It would have been nice if I could have had one last meeting with him. Heck, even a 5-minute talk over some coffee would do, but I'm not as personally close to him as my father was to his. I guess I should have focused on building a private relationship with him instead of being all professional.
Sounds tough. I'm sorry to hear that. Do you think your company can manage? It's a pretty big financial hit, right?
I'm not sure, but I'll have to find a way. I can't let my employees down after all of their hard work.
Nice to see you're the same as always, boss. You know, if you're willing to, do you think we could start a partnership between your company and mine?
Excuse me?
Listen, this might sound a little sudden, but our company's been doing pretty well recently. We were looking into starting a new operation, and I was hoping we could get some help from you guys. I wanted to mention this sooner, but I also didn't want to sound like I was trying to beg my way into getting a partnership with you. I mean, I know my company's still pretty new. It's not like we've had a long history of success or anything like that, so I was worried if you'd be willing to put trust in a corporation like that. But I mean, I don't want to sound too full of myself, but if you guys need a new business partner now, I thought maybe we could sort some things out.
That would be great, Nicole. You'll be a literal lifesaver. I couldn't thank you enough.
Really? Great! Let's sort out the details in person. I'll head over to your place. How does next Monday sound? Somewhere around 3 in the afternoon?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. I'm excited. I know this is a formal business meeting, but I can't wait to see so many friendly faces.
You're not the only one. If you have time, why don't we go out for coffee together once we finish discussing business? It'll be on me.
I love that. It's settled then. See you next Monday, boss.
Yeah, we'll be waiting.
Good morning, Mr. Representative. I'd like to offer your company a job. It's urgent. You see, we need some dark blue jeans by the end of tomorrow. How many of them do you think your company can manage?
Excuse me? I didn't expect you, of all people, to be contacting me again. Why are you asking us this? I thought we aren't business partners anymore. Why don't you ask some other firm? I'm sure it'll be a lot more cost efficient, much more to your taste.
Cost efficient? Ugh. Will you hear me out? That was going to be the plan. Things were supposed to go well for us, except there were so many issues. First of all, none of our new partnering companies had any employees who spoke English fluently, so we had to hire an interpreter. So that was tedious. And then the factory workers were actually bold enough to go on a strike a few days after we sealed our deal. They demanded a raise and everything. When we finally thought things were going to start moving, our shipment got messed up. Turns out there's a reason why some shipping companies are more expensive than the others. And when I finally thought the products arrived, oh, don't even get me started on them. The size, the color, everything was all messed up. We can't sell those to our customers. They're worthless. All that trouble for nothing. I can't believe my luck.
Luck, huh? I'm not sure if that was the main issue.
Anyway, at this rate, I won't be able to raise even a single cent, so I've decided to give up on producing products overseas for the time being. So, can you get those jeans ready? We can give you an extra 1 or 2 days if you really need them. Oh, but I will have to pay you less than what we used to give you. I hope you understand. It's so we can cut down on costs. How does 65% of what we used to pay you sound? It's still a lot more than what we were going to pay the manufacturing firm overseas.
I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to decline your offer.
What? Why?
Do you really need me to answer that question? It's not even the cost that's the main issue. I remember what you said about us. I remember what you said about exploiting workers. Maybe you're right, and the world doesn't care how workers are treated behind the scenes, but I do. And as long as I'm the representative of Orion Fabrics, we won't be having any more business deals with you guys until you sort out your priorities.
What are you talking about? This is outrageous.
It doesn't matter. We won't be taking part in any of your malicious business practices. As an owner of a small company, there is very little that I can do. But I can still do the bare minimum, and that's protecting my workers from people like you.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. Don't you understand how much you owe us? It's only thanks to us that you were able to make a profit to begin with.
I'm afraid it goes both ways, Mrs. Auden. That's what partnerships are. We find a middle ground so that we can get ourselves into a win-win situation. You're the one who broke off our deal first, and since you're aspiring to become the CEO, I'm sure you're aware of how important it is for us to gain profit as well. With your new deal, we won't be able to pay our employees what they deserve. To borrow your words, it's outrageous.
Fine, then we'll pay you what you used to get. It'll be like this conversation never happened. How does that sound? Good, right? Now get on with it. The jeans need to be ready by the end of this week, at the latest.
Have you been paying attention? As I said, we won't be having anything to do with you until you reconsider your values. I think we have a right to choose who to build our relationships with, Mrs. Auden. And frankly speaking, I wouldn't choose you if you were the last one standing on Earth.
But you need the job. You don't want to lay off your employees, do you?
We're covered, thank you. We have a new business partner. One much more trustworthy and sincere than your company.
Oh, really? Do you think I'm going to let you off so easily? Just you wait. Sooner or later, we're going to put you out of business. You're going to the streets. I'll make you regret being born.
Go ahead, I'd like to see you try. Fair warning, the same goes for you, Mrs. Auden. We know that we weren't the only company that you mistreated. Word spreads around quickly within our industry. I think sooner or later, you'll find yourselves without anyone willing to form a deal with you.
What? You can't do that. Forget gaining a profit. We'll lose the company.
That's the point. I'm sure no one would mind if one evil corporation burned to the ground. There are many more to take its place.
What do you want from me? An apology? I'm sorry for being rude before. I'll take your criticism to heart. Please, you can't do this. My husband will be so disappointed once he finds out.
He should be. I'm still not sure how much of this was his idea, but judging from your poor management, I'm starting to think that he doesn't have a clue as to what you're doing behind the scenes.
Please, you have to help me.
If I recall, you said something about how we had to protect ourselves by ourselves. Wise words, aren't they? Why don't you try applying them to yourself? As for me, I think I'll continue to value trust and diligence, no matter how gullible it may seem. I think it's what gets the business running at the end of the day. Later that day, Mrs. Auden came over to Orion Fabrics. She was unbelievably rude to us, but she wouldn't leave and continue to make a huge scene, accusing me of being a heartless corporate owner. I'm sure her intention was to make a fuss until I agreed to help her out, but once I declared that I was going to call the police on her if she was going to continue disrupting the company, she left. She never came back after that day. A few days later, Mr. Auden came by. I was concerned at first, but as I expected, it turns out that he had no idea what his wife was doing behind his back. According to Mr. Auden, he left the company under her management under the condition that she was to let the employees at Auden Boutique do their thing. He only left her in charge because she promised she wouldn't do anything rash, and she was going to prove that she was worthy of managing the company when Mr. Auden was away. But as we all know, that was a complete lie. Mr. Auden had a hard time cleaning up after his wife's mess, but once everything was sorted out, he decided to get a divorce. After all, it was obvious by now that she only married him for the money. Auden Boutique strived to set things straight. They knocked on the doors of all of their former business partners that Mrs. Auden had cut off, offering them a choice to start a new business deal with them if they wished. They also decided to continue their relationship with their new overseas partner. Instead of robbing them of their new job, they decided to turn over a new leaf by having the firm follow strict ethical guidelines for the betterment of their workers' environment. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. Feel free to leave any thoughts in the comments section, and I hope we get to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.